Okay, so why is it that the episode about creativity is the hardest one for me to come up with the cold open for?
Oh man. No, no.
No, in all honesty, I've been putting off doing this specific video for weeks because I had no idea how to open it. I was like, maybe I could do something where I pop out like the genie of the lamp, or maybe a retrospective on Robin Williams' career. I had no idea what to do. And it wasn't because I didn't know what to create. It wasn't because I didn't know what to do. I had too many options of what to do. Which is, in all honesty, what I think stops most creators. Not the fact that you can't come up with ideas, but the fact that you have so many ideas going off in your head at once. Which is exactly like how Robin Williams does comedy. He's like a machine gun. He just stream of consciousness has joke after joke after joke. And that's exactly what being creative is like. Let me explain. You see, Robin Williams is the essence of creativity in so many ways, not the least of which being that he knows that creation doesn't come from statements. Creation doesn't come from saying, this is the story, this is what's going to happen. Creation comes from asking questions. Creation comes from being a beginner. I mean, Robin Williams could easily be considered by any of us an expert at comedy, but he's still thinking like a beginner, and that's what makes him so successful. He asks questions for what he sees. I mean, take for instance, when he was on Inside the Actor's Studio and he saw a woman in the front row with a scarf around her neck, he could have easily just said, well, I know what that is, that's a scarf, and I'm going to move on. But he didn't. He instead said,
I came to Bombay last year.
And then his brain went off and he let it all out at once. And it made everyone so happy. Every time he walks out, I like to think he asks the question, how do I make these people happy? And what he did in the next hour and a half on stage was trying to answer that question. How could he make them happy? And I know a lot of you out there are saying that your mind doesn't go a mile a minute, that it takes you slow steps to finally create something, but just keep doing it day in, day out, and you'll get better at it. I mean, Robin, most creators, that's how they started, was by making these small baby steps in their head to try to come up with a joke. But after doing it for so many years that they were able to quickly go through the entire thought process of creating a joke and then spit it out in the span of like 5 seconds. It's all practice. But in addition to that, Robin Williams was also creative because he reacted to things. He didn't just think, well, I have my comedy routine set in my mind, I know exactly what I'm going to say. He would come out and comment on the theater around him. He would comment on the people in the front row. Hell, most of his show was reacting to the audience. Take, for instance, a couple years ago when he was on a USO tour, and in the middle of his act, they started doing retreat, which is where everyone stands up and faces the flag as the flag comes down. They play revelry. It's very beautiful. And instead of saying, hey, excuse me, I have an act going on, something's kind of happening right now, or saying something completely idiotic.
What a nice sound that is. Are they playing that for you or for me?
Robin reacted to what was going on around him. He did as the soldiers did, standing and facing at attention. And then after it was all over and everyone sat back in their seats, Robin went back to asking questions, namely,
what's coming from that way? That an entire group of military people turns that fucking way.
Because he reacted to what was going on, he asked questions about it, and it allowed him to create another moment of comedy. And that's how life needs to be as a creator. You need to have your eyes constantly open, reacting to what's going around you. That way you can ask questions about those reactions, and from that is where your next great creation comes. It comes from questions, it comes from reactions, and mostly it comes from trying. Because like I said, Robin Williams is a machine gun of comedy. I mean, he says more jokes in 5 seconds than I've said in my entire life. And did it fail sometimes? Yeah, but that's not what mattered. What mattered were the moments that actually stuck with you, the moments that actually made you laugh, that made you think. And I think one of the most disheartening things as a creator are the ideas that fail, are the ideas that you put hours into and then realize that you're going to have to completely scrap it. But you have to realize that that's not going to matter in the long run. The failed ideas do not matter. All that matters are the ideas that stick. You will never be remembered for your failures. You're only going to be remembered for your successes. Now, I'm not saying go into everything thinking you're going to fail. I mean, every single joke Robin told, he told because he wanted to make people laugh. And if it didn't work, he said, all right, let's move on to the next one. You see, the point is, he was constantly creating. He was constantly making things. And it was from that allowed him to develop the amazing career that he had. It wasn't because he was a comedy god, it wasn't because he was a genius, it was because he was tenacious. He would spit out 10 jokes in a second, and as long as one of them landed, it was fine. And you may go through years of creation thinking that everything you've done is a failure, but you're going to find something. One thing that you can hang your hat on, one thing that you can be proud of. And that one thing will make it all worth it. But that one thing will not exist if you do not go through the years of failure. So just remember, ask questions, react to the things you see in the world, and most importantly, fail at all costs. Yeah, you know, I don't know if I'd consider bad examples a success or a failure at this point. I mean, I don't know. I do think that WWE 2K17 show I do completely sucks, though. That Brady kid is garbage.